Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of our new webinar series. I'm Hamna. I'm the product marketing manager here at vFairs, and I'm joined here by two of my lovely colleagues, Shazeb, who's the
Hi,
associate
everyone.
product manager, and Cameron, who is an account executive here.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here.
So Shazib's going to be the one actually showing you how all of this works in just a few minutes. And Cameron will add more context to Shazib's presentation later as well. But before we get into it, just let me set the scene first and help you understand what problem we're trying to solve today. So, if you've ever organized an in person event, you probably already know the moment I'm about to describe. It's probably going to sound very relatable to you. So it's 8:30 in the morning. It's the first event day. You've just opened the gates for check-in and registration, and suddenly there's this huge line at the registration desk that somehow it just gets longer and longer. And your staff are flipping through printed lists and just, trying to shorten the amount of time it takes for attendees to get checked in and get their badges printed. And you don't know whose badge is whose because you pre-printed them. And just someone is at the desk and they're asking you if they can register on the spot. So in my line of work, I talk to event organizers almost every week, and I've heard some version of that story from organizers running maybe 200% conferences or even 10,000% trade shows. And somehow the registration desk is almost always the bottleneck. And it's also the most painful part because it sets the tone for everything else. Whatever excitement your attendees walked in with, half of it is going to get used up if they're just standing in line and just waiting to be get checked in. So here's what today is going to be about. We're going to show you the whole flow from check-in to ID verification, batch printing, and even how to handle walk-in registrations right from the kiosk. You can run all of that from a single self-serve kiosk, and it's not a complicated integration project. It's not a new tool. It's already a feature within the vFairs account. But we're going to show you all of it a little differently than most product demos. Instead of starting in the backend with the screens and settings, Shazeb's going to take us straight to the event day first. So you'll see exactly what an attendee will experience when they're, just walking up to the desk, checking in, getting their badge printed, and how a walk-in registration is going to be taken care of within the vFair system, and also the reporting part that runs in real time as it all happens. And then we'll come back and show you how it was all configured. So the kiosk setup, the badge designs, the printer configurations, all of the under the hood stuff. We're going to do it this way on purpose because most webinars would make you sit through 15 minutes of admin screens and you probably don't even understand why it all matters. So by flipping it, we help you see the payoff first and then learn how to build it. And then we're just going to wrap it up with a Q&A. You can drop all of your questions in the Q&A box as we go, and you don't have to wait till the end for your questions. We're just going to pull them up at the end though. So that's all from me. All right, Shazib, over to you. Let's start
Perfect.
kiosk.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hamna. And just to give you a little bit of context here, I'm part of the team at vFair that handles the vFair's on-site and mobile products. So that means I spend most of my days thinking about how to make event operations feel faster and a little less stressful for organizers. So I will continue Hamna's story. That is actually what happens at the event day. Let's imagine attendees are just arriving at the venue. There's no training, there's no staff walkthrough, there's just a kiosk, self-serve kiosk, sitting at registration. I want to show you what that experience actually looks like for the attendees. I just start sharing my screen and we'll take you through that experience. So in this case, an attendee walks up to the kiosk. They have the QR present in the mobile app. They scan, and within a few seconds, the badge automatically prints. And honestly, that's the entire interaction. And this is exactly what organizers want during an event. They don't want the queues to form up. The less time attendees spend at registration, the smoother the entire event feels. Because honestly, nobody wants to, but nobody is excited to come at a conference at 8 a.m. in the morning just to spend some quality time at a check-in. This is the fastest flow for pre-registered attendees because the system already has all of their information. Operationally, this is where organizers feel the most advantage. There are no queues. Within just a few seconds, the badge gets printed and attendee moves on. Now, there might be some cases where the attendees, where the organizers meet, they want to reduce the friction even further. What we have for them is facial recognition. Now, in this case, the attendee walks up to the kiosk, their face gets scanned, and the badge automatically prints within a few seconds. And the nice thing here is that the interaction. Yes, Sunna?
So this is always, sorry to interject. This is always one of the features people ask me about all the time as well. So, where do you think organizers see the most benefit from facial recognition check-ins?
So the thing about facial recognition is that organizers really need is convenience. The biggest operational advantage here is convenience. The queues do not form up. If within a few seconds, they only have to come up to the kiosk, the system automatically scans their face, and the badge gets printed. And that's it. There's nothing more, nothing less. They just walk up to the kiosk and the badge gets printed. And within a few seconds, an attendee is already checked into the event and the badge is printed. So now we've seen the two fastest ways attendee gets their badge printed and check-in, QR scanning, and facial recognition. But let's take a step back and see what happens during a live event. What if we did not have their facial recognition enabled? And what's worse is that the attendee lost their mobile app and they do not have access to the QR screen anymore. So they do not want to get bogged down onto the queue. What we do is we provide them a fallback. This is actually a pretty common scenario. What we do is I'll just pull up my iPad screen to show you what happens within the app.
And I think this is really common because with the QR codes, someone is almost always lost finding it, going through their
Yes,
email,
we've actually
trying to find
exactly
their
we've
attendee digits.
run through this a lot of times.
Yeah, holding up the queue.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how the kiosk actually looks. If they do not have the QR, or even when their facial recognition is not enabled, we actually have a fallback. What they do is they come to a search screen, they come to kiosk, they click on search, and this is what they see. As soon as we type in the name, the results come up. And as you can see, John Wick is already in the event. And if we know John Wick, that is not a good omen. But the idea here is simple. No attendee ever gets blocked at the door, whether they come in with a QR code, no QR code, or even no app at all. There's always a path forward. Now, of course, event organizers and attendees do not actually stop registering to an event just because the event has started. There will always be walk-ins. They are inevitable. So we have a flow for them as well. Attendees can register directly on site. They just have to fill up their form. Now, the best thing about this is attendees do not have to fill this themselves. The staff can help them with this. As you can see, I'm just filling up the form. This will only take a few seconds. The attendee will get registered in the event directly on site.
This might feel like just a simple form that Shazay is just showing us, but when you're if you're ever manned a registration desk, you understand the pain behind walk-in registrations. And if you don't quickly, fill out the form and just, quickly get them registered, they hold up the queue and you maybe have to route them on to another admin desk as well. But that doesn't happen here. You can just fill out the form and register them on the spot, and their badge
Exactly.
immediately gets
Yep.
printed.
This is one of the biggest operational advantages. Attendees do not disappear into manual spreadsheets or they do not get, redirected somewhere else. There's one app for check-ins, registration, and even badge printing. Once registration completed, the staff or even the user themselves can print their badges automatically. So even walking attendees can still move through the flow very seamlessly. Now, this is about the front door check-in. Now, beyond front door checking, organizers also need visibility into what is actually happening inside the event. Because once attendees are inside, the event actually turns into a set of sessions, breakout rooms, and different touch points. So we have session check-in for that. As you can see, once you move into session check-in, you can see all of the sessions that are available inside that event. For each session, you can check how many users are already checked into that session, how many have yet to check in, and the entire participant list. If we move into participant list, here you can see that Ramshit is already checked in. Our rest of the users, they're yet to check in. The badges have not yet been printed. This
Jesse, can you help us understand what kind of events would usually rely heavily on session check-ins?
basically any event where attendance alone does not tell the full story. And session participation is what actually, defines engagement, value, or even ROI. That is almost all of the events. And while all of this is happening on site, organizers, they need to monitor how many people have checked in, how many people have, checked in the sessions, not even just event, the session itself, and what is the activity going around the event. Now we have event analytics for that. They can track their check-in stats, their session check-ins, as well as the batchments. The entire attendee flow in real time on one app. That's what we offer. So at this point, we've essentially covered the full event day flow from arrival and check-in, all through session check-ins, as well as reporting. And really, this is everything an organizer needs to, run their event on site. But of course, event day is still event day. And problems are bound to happen. And that's where sport becomes essential. And that's where it becomes as important as the technology itself. During the event, organizers can coordinate directly with the VFA staff so that we are always available for them, whether it's for troubleshooting, printer problems, operational guidance, or even just general guidance. We are always available. The idea is simple. If something needs attention on site, vFairs is always with you. So now that
That's
we've
especially important for first time organizers, right?
Yep, absolutely. But honestly, it's important for all events because even experienced teams, they sometimes feel some hiccups. The goal is to really make sure that organizers do not feel alone when they're, conducting an event. We face always stands with them. We're always there to support them. So now that we've actually walked through session check-ins, event check-ins, attendee arrival, as well as reporting, let's take a look at how these things are set up actually in the backend. I'll just turn off my screen sharing from my iPad and come again with the backend.
Okay, so that was everything an attendee or an organizer sees on event day. And now we're just going to flip it around. Shazeb's going to take us into the back end and we're going to show you how all of this that he just showed, how all of it gets set up. And everyone watching just needs to keep in mind that what looks like a lot of moving parts on event day, and we've been discussing that as well, is actually it's just configured from a pretty small number of screens. And Shazeb is set up, so take it away, Shazeb.
That is correct. We only need a few screens to set up this entire thing. I'll start with the kiosk builder because this is the entire entry point for the attendee as well as the organizer. From here, organizers can fully design how their experience looks like for the attendees. The very first thing we will see is they can upload a background image. It allows them to brand flexibility. It gives them the flexibility to improve the branding on the kiosk. Apart from the background image, they have the option to upload their kiosk logos. And the best thing about this kiosk builder is that even the buttons themselves, such as the search one and the scan QR button, these are not fixed UI elements. They are uploaded as images. So you have the flexibility here as well to improve your branding as well as the buttons. Apart from the button itself, we give organizers the control over navigation as well. This has actually happened to us sometimes that attendees accidentally tapped on the back button and they headed to the home screen. We received some feedback from organizers. What they wanted a simpler navigation control. So we have added this hide button so they can hide the back button as well. So attendees will always stay on the screen no matter what happens. They'll always be available to search or scan QR, but they will not be able to exit the screen. This might sound like a small thing, but in real event environments, it was actually a pretty common pain point. Attendees tapping out at the wrong time. And this is the entire screen or the entire amount of steps that you need to set up your kiosk screen. If I count them, these are less than 5 steps that you need to completely control the branding of your kiosk screen. Now I'll move on to the badge design itself because we have seen how the kiosk.
As you can see, you'll see for the badge designer as well as for the kiosk screen, you don't need a designer, you don't need a different setup, or you don't need to export a different design onto our system. You can design the whole thing in here, and it's completely self-serve. It's very easy to do, and anyone can do it.
Thank you, Amna. This is the primary screen that you see when you jump into badge design. What you see here is that there is no one size fits all for badge design. We've actually structured this screen around different user roles. Visitors get their own badges, speakers get their own badges, and even booth admins, booth users, and event owners get their own badges. And even inside visitor attendees, we go one level deeper. If you have different types of attendees available on your event, such as VIPs, there might be some guests, there might be some elite attendees. You can have a different badge design for each one of them. So I'll go ahead and pull up one of the badge designs.
I see we have a few questions in the chat. We'll wait till the end to answer all of that, but you can still send them in as you go.
Okay, so this is the badge designer that's seen in the back end. The very first thing that you see is that you can control the badge layout itself, the badge size as well. And if you want the badge to be double-sided, that's just one click, and your badge gets converted into a double-sided badge. And on the content side, we have some predefined fields already available for you. So in just one click, you can add an entire field on the badge. As you can see, I've added email. I can control the font family as well, and even the font size. I'll just go ahead and add it, created 50, and I want to streamline it with the rest of my elements on the badge. I'll just go ahead and center lock it, and that's it. In two simple steps, you can add predefined fields onto your badge. And apart from the predefined fields, we even bring on data from the registration form itself. What makes this really powerful is that you don't have to map data, but actually do some integration or anything. This designer pulls data from the registration form directly. If you want to a profile picture or even use a category, and even some things like terms and conditions, you can customize this on the reg form, and you can bring those fields directly onto the badge design. Finally, you can also upload event logos and images. I already have one. So any image that you upload, there will be a library here that will get populated. This works similarly as Canva or any other design tool that you've used. We have this one feature that might feel similar, small, but actually helps organizers, to free up space on the badge itself. Let's say we only had first name and last name, but I want to free up my space. What I'll do is I'll merge the layers. I click here, I select the layers that I want to merge, and then I'll merge the elements. As you can see, this will merge my two elements into one, and I'll go ahead and then control the settings as well. Now, this is especially useful when badge space is actually limited to the organizer and they want to free up some space. So overall, the badge design system is really about flexibility. For organizers, it gives them full controls over how attendees, or even their different roles, users such as speakers, as well as the exhibitors, how they are presented on site. And this is all about badge design. So when you look at everything that we've covered today, you will see that the goal of vFairs is to provide one solution for everything, whether it's your check-ins, badge printing, or even reporting. We provide one solution, one app for all of these different solutions. The goal is to really bring all of the disconnected elements into one app that serves your purpose, that helps you, bring out your on-site experience from one single screen. So instead of, organizers juggling into different tools or disconnected processes, everything runs from a single system, one app in real time. It makes event mornings, just feel a little less chaotic. We've seen organizers running around, different tools. But this app, it is the goal. The goal is to make their event morning feel a little less chaotic. So with that, I thank you. I thank everyone for joining our webinar. We'll now open it up for questions, and I'll hand it over to Cameron for the Q&A. Cameron, over to you.
All right. That's the full flow of everything. Thank you, Shazam. That was fantastic. Let's get into your questions. I can see a few coming in already here. All right. What printers actually work with this? And on the on-site support for an organizer using this for the first time, what does that support actually look like on event day? Great question.
Okay, that is actually a very great question. The new on-site app supports almost all type of printers, but these are some of the printers that we have, commonly seen used at events. The Zebra series, ZD620 and 21 series, as well as the ZC10L series. These are some of the printers that are commonly used at events. Apart from them, we also support Epson, Evolis Primacy, as well as Swift color printers. So if I summarize it, we support almost all type of printers. And even if we do not support a printer yet, we'll make it happen for you. And coming to your second question, how does the support look like for organizers on the event day? What happens is the sport actually starts before the event. We actually have to support this hardware for the organizers. But what happens on event days that we're always available 24/7 during the event, helping them through the printer setup, as well as if any issue occurs during printing or check-ins. We're always available.
Great. Thank you. We got a handful more here. What do exhibitors need to submit on the app in order for their facial recognition to be recognized at on-site registration?
That is the beauty of the process, Cameron. They only need profile pictures. That's it. We handle everything else. We have actually machine learning kits available at the backend that take facial landmarks from the image itself, and that's what we use for facial recognition. Nothing else.
All right. If you have a walk-in and they have to fill out their information to register them, can you not have them fill in their email, phone, and password? I
That is
would
entirely possible. Yeah. Is there a second part of the question, Cameron?
Yeah, I would just want their name and company for the badge.
That is customizable, yes. Would definitely support that.
Do we need to buy scanner and printer? And if so, is there one you recommend? Also, do you provide the software for these devices too?
You don't really need to buy the scanner printers. You actually have to rent them. That is, we actually have a contract with a C2R. We only source the printers as well as any other hardware, such as scanners or even the routers, web routers you need. We source them for you, and we'll just give you the invoice so that you don't have to actually go to the field to find out where the printers are or where the scanners are. We'll do that for you. And coming to the second question, we do provide software, but we do not provide the printer specific software. We do help you, set up your printer with our apps. The software for the printer is available through the printer side. We help you configure our app with them.
And just to add on to here, other than the printer, and if you opt for the branded kiosk, you don't need any other proprietary or expensive software. Regular tablets and phones would do the same thing that everything Shazib just showed here.
Absolutely. You don't need any proprietary hardware, just an iPad and a printer will do. And what's even better is that we'll source that iPad and printer for you. You don't have to run out and get them. We'll do that.
If you have one, great.
Yeah, definitely. That would save you some rent.
Great. And before I forget, while questions come in, we did put together an event day check-in checklist that walks through everything we just covered. It's free. The link's in the chat right now. Grab it whether or not you end up using vFairs or not. It's just a good pre-event document to have in handy. Let's see. In a double-sided badge, how do we make sure the name and all appear in the correct orientation on both sides?
So you only have to, design one side of the badge. The designer itself aligns the orientation as well as the fields. So you just have to enable one toggle and the designer will handle everything else.
And do you have a list of pulled up there? Do you have a list of vendors that print customized and branded name tags, assuming these printers do not print in color?
We do have a list. We can provide that after the session today. Cameron, could you please note their emails or any contact information? We'll reach out to them.
And the second part of that question was, assuming these printers do not print in color.
No, we do support color as well as black and white printers. We support both.
Great. And is there a self-service booth available to allow delegates to print their own badge?
Yes, the experience that I actually demo today was entirely self-serve. The attendees come up to the kiosk, they scan their own QRs, and the badge gets printed automatically. There's nothing the staff has to do. The staff only intervenes. The attendee, is experiencing some issues with the app, which rarely happens. Apart from that, the entire experience is entirely self-serve. Even QR scanning as well as facial recognition.
When setting up printing on site, who would help if we have formatting issues?
We do have team available on site with you, or if you want on call with you. That totally depends on you. If you want our rep with you on site, or whether you want in call, we're always available.
All right, here's another one. Can you set up an MFA for extra security?
Definitely, we can set up an MFA, and we can even set it up so that only admins can use the kiosk. That is customizable as well.
Can they use
Sorry, Cameron. Before you move on, I actually have one more thing to add to that. To add an even more layer of security to this, you can always get an SMS on your phone numbers that a badge was printed or an attendee was checked into the event. We have that functionality as well, but it only adds to the security layers.
And can we use our own printer?
Or definitely, that would actually save us some legwork if you already have a printer or iPads available. But if you don't, we're always available.
And then kind of similar to that question, do we need to use your iPad?
Not really. You can bring your own. You only need our on-site app. That's it. You can bring your own iPads, printers, and even routers if you want.
Here's a couple more that is in. What if an attendee's face doesn't get recognized? Do they have to wait for staff?
No, not really. That is the beauty of this app. That's the line, the queue, it never gets slowed down. If the facial recognition does not work, which is very rare, even if it does not work, the kiosk itself falls back to user search or even QR scanning, whatever is available for the attendee. The staff only intervenes when some system fails. And again, as I said, that is very rare.
We get a lot of walk-in registrations on event day. Can the kiosk handle people who aren't in the system yet?
Definitely, definitely. We handle walk-in registrations very seamlessly. That's as seamless as as pre-registered attendees. In a few seconds, your attendee can get registered and the badge will be printed. There's no extra setup. You don't have to, open another backend. Your iPad, your one app is, is all set for walk-in registration as well.
Great. How long does it take to actually set this up before an event? We don't have weeks of lead time.
So honestly, the only lead time is, sourcing the printers and hardware. If you have that available, we can set it up in a few hours. That's all. Again, the only lead time is that we have to source the hardware. Apart from that, the system is capable to, handle it in a few hours.
So we got a couple more in the chat that we won't get to live, but Shazab and I will reply to those directly after the session. So let's kind of wrap this up with one quick thought before we go here. So here's what I want, everyone to take away from this today. The reason, check-in lines exist isn't because event organizers are bad at planning. It's because the tools most teams use were built for, a different era. Like when you printed badges in advance or when walk-ins were kind of rare, when self-serve wasn't really, a big thing. What you just saw is the alternative. Shazab walked an attendee from arrival to printed badges in just under about 15 seconds. No staff intervention needed, no second desk for walk-ins, no spreadsheet lookup needed. And the whole setup happens all in your existing vFairs account. Most organizers can have it ready in just about an hour. So here's our ask. If you're running an in-person or hybrid event in the next few months or coming up anytime soon and you want to see this set up specifically for your event, book a call with me. The link is in the chat right now. You can also scan the QR code that's on the screen and we'll email it after the session as well where you can scan. But Shazab, thank you again. This was great, and appreciate everyone joining today. We'll be back next month with our second episode, so keep an eye out on your inbox for that, and hope everyone has a fantastic day.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys.